All right, let's continue with award season coverage because I get very nerdy and excited about it. And this is the Locus recommended reading list. You can vote in this. There's a whole long list. It's broken into genres and length types. So novel, novella, novelette, short story. There's translated work. There's first-time authors. And you have till April 1st if you want to vote in this poll. And yeah, so it's like a popularity contest, but not one that's like as big of a pool as Goodreads, and it's more genre specific. And it can be quite fun, and I think you get extra votes if you pay for a magazine subscription. I don't, so I'll just get one vote. And yeah, let's get into it, starting with science fiction, where like I was feeling behind on 2025 science fiction books, but I've now read 3, and I have another one on my TBR, so I'm feeling good, and I have some winners in the ones that I've read, at least for my taste. So I'm feeling like my ballot this year is more exciting than previous ballots. Starting with a book I haven't read yet, but I plan to, is Sunward. I don't remember a lot about this. I did talk about it in my sci-fi books that came out in 2025 video, and people in my Discord have read it and really liked it, and I've seen it on a lot of lists in different places. So I'm excited to read this, hopefully love it. Other ones that I see on this list that I am interested in but haven't read yet, Notes from a Regicide. I know that Di in my Discord adores this. This is more of like a historical, like alternate history science fiction, I believe, and I think it's very queer forward. So it's one that I'm curious if I'm going to keep seeing it on other ballots and is on my radar to pick up. Another one I had talked about was When We Were Real and The Dream Hotel. Both of those made it on my 2025 sci-fi releases, but I haven't read either of those. And then moving down, one that's on my TBR that I should read, that I haven't, is that All That We See or Seem. I don't think this is going to make it on a lot of short lists, if only because I feel like people were very underwhelmed by this book. I don't know if I would be, but it's a tricky situation because Ken Liu, I do feel like, is a powerhouse name, but I don't think this book met that moment and wasn't like marketed very strongly. I have, let's see, moving down, I've got Where the Axe is Buried. So this is one that I've read and would probably actually make it on my ballot. It's not my favorite, but I would put it on my ballot. This is Ray Naylor, who like through the years has been like, we've been seeing him more, starting with the Mountain and the Sea for a Nebula shortlist. And then last year we had Tusks of Extinction on the Hugo ballot. So he's definitely making a name for himself. I have not read the octopus one, The Mountain and the Sea, but I have read Tusk of Extinction and Where the Axe is Buried and have liked both of them. My current read is Slow Gods by Claire North, and the way that I need this to be on the Hugo ballot, like I want it to be so bad. I'm really loving it. I haven't even finished it yet. I still have 100 pages left, but I've been adoring this work. And this is a case where I think Claire North is more popular outside of the genre space. So I don't know if that helps or hurts her, because I don't think they have a lot of science fiction outside of this. I think they have more Greek retellings and then other general fiction. I'm not sure. I know they are a very popular author, but I don't actually have a strong sense of how popular they are in genre spaces, especially considering this is my first time reading her. But boy, is it like my favorite so far. One that I do suspect will be on many lists is Death of an Author by Nnedi Okorafor. I think this is like the reverse situation, where Nnedi Okorafor is typically a very genre author, and this book is not as science fiction-y as some of her other works. It's more like general literary fiction of an author writing a science fiction book, and it's the more nebulous, is the sci-fi becoming real? But I don't think it's actually like the sci-fi becoming real. But beloved, I think, in the genre, and has gotten great marketing. It's a stunning book, so I'm not going to be surprised if I see it on other lists. Let's see if there's other ones that I care about. Like I already talked about in my books that came out in 2025 video, We Lived on the Horizon. Again, I haven't read that one. We have an Adrian Tchaikovsky Shroud. If Adrian Tchaikovsky is going to be present on the lists, I think Shroud is going to be the one, because I feel like a lot of the other books were continuations in series, and this is, I believe, a standalone thriller sci-fi novel. I mean, even I'm kind of curious about Shroud. And so yeah, those are my thoughts. Like there's a bunch more sci-fi like on the list than what I have listed, but it is nice to know that like of the list that I put together of like books that came out in 2025, there's a lot on this list. So that makes me feel good about that as like my own personal recommendation for myself of catching up on 2025 books. Fantasy novels, I'm a bit more well-read in. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie is here. Let's see, what are some other ones? A Drop of Corruption, which the first book just won the Hugo last year. Granted, it wasn't like a stacked list of books, in my opinion. The Sovereign by C.L. Clarke. This is for sure going to go on my series ballot, I'm pretty sure. This is the third book in a series, though, so I don't suspect it to be on many awards lists, but it is one of the strongest fantasy that I read last year. I haven't read the works of Vermin yet, which honestly, I'm surprised it's in fantasy and not horror, because I feel like to me, it's feeling more fantasy horror than just straight fantasy. I read Leech, but I haven't read this one yet. I have seen very mixed reviews about it, but still. The Everlasting. People have been loving this book. I do have a copy. I do want to read it. I probably will be pushed more to read it as I see it on more lists if it continues to be on more lists. I do think the sci-fi I've read this year has been stronger than the fantasy of 2025. That said, the next one's The Raven Scholar, which everyone and their mother has been loving. Like, I like it, but I don't love it. Like, it's a 4.5 star read, but other people are like 5 star. And I think part of that is it's a really solid book, and we haven't had as many really solid, entertaining fantasy books lately. So I think that's part of it. Let's see, what are some other ones? Hemlock and Silver, haven't read yet. And actually, there's Hemlock and Silver and Snake Eater. I am more curious about Snake Eater, but I don't own Snake Eater. I own Hemlock and Silver. So I feel like I want to read that one more just because I own it. But I think Snake Eater could be more interesting for me for award season, because I think Hemlock and Silver is going to be entertaining, but it's not going to be revolutionary. It's going to be T. Kingfisher's fairy tale retelling that is dark and quirky, and it's going to be an entertaining time, but again, not really going to be that different from the other ones I've read. Whereas Snake Eater, I think, is a little different. I am curious if Catabasis will be on a lot of lists. I am not reading it. I have not read it. I'm not going to read it. Like, I just know that what R.F. Kuang does, the stuff that I like the least, I think, about her works are present in this, so I don't need to do that to myself. But I do think a lot of people are very mixed about it. Some people, I think, really like how it's approaching its themes. Some people don't. I think some people like it less than Babel overall, but then there's just the whole Babel got screwed the year Babel came out. So I don't know where that's going to land for people in terms of voting and nominating. There was a Tochi Onibuchi last year that I haven't gotten to, and I've been kind of wanting to. I think it's like alternate history fantasy in, I forget which part of the continent of Africa, but I think it's inspired by Northern Africa, and I could be very wrong because I haven't read it, but it's called Heart Matin Season. Been curious about that one. And then there's The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri, which I thought was good, but not great, and I don't think it's going to be nominated for a lot of things. The book I want to be nominated for a lot of things, and I don't know if it will, is The Incandescent by Emily Tesh. Like, former winner of a Hugo for Some Desperate Glory. But I don't know if it's going to resonate with people the same way it resonates with me, based off like my occupation, my special interests. Just like for me, it was the entire package. It probably will be on one of my ballots. It's probably like when I vote for this in a couple months, I probably will vote for it. And then the last one, I'm really curious how well this one does, is Queen Demon, the second book in a Martha Wells series that started with The Witch King, which was on a lot of awards lists. I don't think it won. I don't believe The Witch King won. But I don't really like The Witch King, and The Queen Demon is a sequel. So I'm curious. Martha Wells obviously more well known for the Murderbot series, but this has definitely been a favorite by her fans as well. Getting into horror, I'm not going to know as much, but I'll know a few. We've got that prequel to Bunny, We Love You, Bunny. I have not read Bunny, nor have I read this. I don't really plan to read either. The Possession of Albedizes, I like, but it's not as strong as some of the other Isabel Kanias I've read. Spread Me, I still need to read by Sarah Gailey, just because I'm curious. Some of the reviews for Spread Me are kind of wild. I think it's a fungi. I think it's a little erotic. I'm curious about it. We've got King Sorrow by Joe Hill. I've heard of it. I don't know how well it's going to do in genre award season. Joe Hill's definitely a very popular author, but I don't know how popular he is amongst horror readers. I think the one I know most is a Christmas one. I forget the name of it. It's got the license plate on the cover. And then my vote would probably be Buffalo Hunter Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones, because I love Stephen Graham Jones. And that was also just a great book. Like, you know, I'm not very apologetic for that. And it also, like, I read it the same weekend I saw Sinners. So the thematic synergy of that weekend for me, truly fantastic. The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I don't think this is as loved as a lot of people thought they would love it, but I think it still generally did pretty well, and Silvia Moreno Garcia is pretty popular. But now I'm curious, was the V.E. Schwab from this year on the fantasy list? That was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I don't see it. Is that a snub? Fascinating. Obviously, V.E. Schwab does very well. It doesn't need award season to, like, lift them up, but she's very popular, so fascinating. And then the other ones, there's a Chuck Winding, so The Staircase in the Woods. But I don't think there's anything here where, like, besides the Spread Me that I feel like I missed. Oh, there's a Stephen King, Never Flinch, which I think is a continuation in a series? I don't know. I don't know a lot about Stephen King books. I'm not very interested in Joe Hill or Stephen King. So I think of this list, Spread Me is the only one that's, like, kind of still on my TBR. I am probably going to know nothing about young adult books, so we're probably not going to spend a lot of time here. I'm just, like, casually going through. Yeah, I don't know any of these names. I'm not in the know about young adult books. I don't read them very often. First novels, though. So one first novel that I have heard great reviews for that I haven't read yet is A Song of Legends Lost. So that's one I kind of want to try and see if it's for me, because I've heard great things. I don't know what it's about. I have no idea, so I'm very unhelpful there. Just know that I have heard it's pretty good. One that was on the Goodreads award for science fiction is Luminous. I think it has a unique cover. Like, I can see the cover in my head. Can't really describe it to you, but this is, I think, siblings and kind of sci-fi near future vibes. Let's see, are there other ones that I have heard about? Blob, but I don't have any interest in reading it. But that one is like an inanimate object, unhealthy relationship with a person sort of thing. I don't even know if it's unhealthy. Maybe it's just strange. In translated, the ones that I have consumed, The Unworthy, which I don't really like, but, you know, that's just my taste. And is there other translations that I know about from this year? I don't know. I don't think so for me, but, like, I'm catching up on translated works. Like, I think maybe this time next year I might know more, just because, like, the book club I go to seems to almost exclusively read translated works. And the bookstore always is putting translated works on shelves, so I might have a better sense of covers and stuff like that. Like, maybe Vanishing World I kind of know about, but I also could have sworn that a book like this came out before, and maybe it's just because they keep using similar covers for this author's works. Collections. All right. So I just bought myself a copy of The Other Shore by Rebecca Canwell, who wrote Arbor Reality, which I love. And then there's another short story collection that I really want to get to that is by Thomas Ha, who is, like, a very good author. But I'm trying to see if I can find it. Is it on this list? I feel like I saw it on this list, and, like, that's what put it on my radar. But maybe I'm being silly. Let me take a look real quick. Yes, here it is. Uncertain Suns and Other Stories. Really want to try that one out. I'm really bad at reading too many short story collections, so realistically, even getting to those two before nominations and voting would be great for me. There's a lot of good stuff here, though. Like, there's a Primi Mohammed that came out last year, One Message Remains, and I do like their short work more than their long work. So I like that they have that, and I like that they have a separate category for anthologies, and it better have the anthology I really like. Where is the anthology that I really like? Is it here? Yes. Okay. If they didn't have We Will Rise Again, We Will Rise Again. Like, oh my gosh, that's easily going to be my vote. I read that in December. I made a whole sci-fi recommendation video around the themes of that anthology. So good. We've got The Black Fantastic that I think I actually own an ebook copy of. Haven't read it yet, though. So, yeah, I like that they're separate because I think they're very different projects, and what makes a collection sing versus an anthology are different for me. Like, a collection can just be a collection of an author's works. So you get to play around in an author's thought tree of what themes they like to play in, or the author might choose to make it more thematically continuous, but you don't feel as jarred. I feel in a collection, you can almost read it more seamlessly. An anthology, because you have so many unique voices, I find that it's harder to make a very tight, well-curated anthology without it getting too bloated. It's even better when it has thematic resonance like We Will Rise Again. So I think they are very different things and projects. I am not going to know any of the sci-fi nonfiction stuff. I mean, I'll gradually look through, but yeah, I don't know any of this. Oh, there was a Tochiani Buchi that came out called Race Book. So, like, I see that, but I haven't read these things. I think I heard of the Octavia E. Butler H is for Horse, but I haven't read it. I think Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany was talking about it. Enshittification is, I mean, I've heard about that at work. Like, that's a very popular nonfiction right now. So I guess this is just nonfiction in general. I don't think it's specifically sci-fi and fantasy nonfiction, although I'm sure that's also still in here. Black Apocalypse, Afrofuturism at the End of the World. Seems interesting. That one speaks to me. And let's see, moving down, illustrated and art books. I'm not going to know anything about that. And now novellas, which, again, I'm not going to know nothing about novellas because I've read like 2. I've read, and they're probably both on this list. I've read But Not Too Bold, which I guess I do see, But Not Too Bold. And I've read The River Has Roots. I think I would put But Not Too Bold on my ballot. I'm still not sure about The River Has Roots because the only thing I think about from my reading experience of that is the short story I read at the end, which is not River Has Roots. But I assume it has to be on this list, The River Has Roots. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she didn't make it. Because I haven't looked at this too closely. What is also nice is that they pull novellas from magazines, so it gives a diverse range of publishers. Like, there's a lot of Neon Hemlock, Subterranean, Spectrum. So, like, if you want to, like, get novellas that are not only from one publisher, I think this is a great reading list. I think it does a great job of that. I just don't like novellas that much. Oh, yeah, there's The River Has Roots. I was about to say, if The River Has Roots isn't here, I'm really shocked about the V. Schwab not being here, but The River Has Roots. That has to be there. And honestly, I should do a Control F real quick just to, like, make sure I didn't miss it. Nope, there's no Schwab. No Schwab. Okay. All right, and then, so there's also The Automatic Noodle. That's going to be a popular one. I haven't read that one. Cautiously curious about it, but not enough to go out of my way of getting it. Like, I'm suspecting that come Hugo season, once we have a short list and the packet, I will read the novellas that are on that short list. I'm not reading a lot for nominating. I'm reading probably more what's being curated for me by other voters. Because I have not of good sense. Oh, The Psychopomp and Circumstance. I've heard good things about that one. Jess had read that one. But yeah, I haven't read Don't Sleep with the Dead by Niveau because I haven't read The Chosen and the Beautiful. I haven't read Murder by Memory because I don't always want to read a novella murder mystery. And honestly, now that I'm looking at this, I'm kind of bummed that we don't have the new Malka Older on any of these lists. I really liked that one, which I think is novel length and not novella, but it's definitely a border case that I'm sure people wouldn't know where to put it. So bummer that I don't see the new Malka Older. Novelettes, though, I've actually read some of the novelettes. I'm actually in the know for once. There's a bunch I haven't read and a bunch that I kind of want to read just based off author names. Let's see. There is a Thomas Ha that I haven't read that's in the Uncertain Sons collection, but I have read the Thomas Ha short story that is in the short story section. There are 2 Alea Dawn Johnsons, who has written some of my favorite short works. I think they did the Janelle Monáe project, and then I also really liked the novel I read for the Ursula K. Le Guin Award in Fiction by her. There's a Ray Naylor here. Okay, my favorite, hands down, Never Eaten Vegetables by H. Pak, who I have heard is also eligible for the Astounding Award, which has me excited. Never Eaten Vegetables is so good, okay? Released by Clarkesworld, highly recommend. Oh my god, such a good novelette. There's a Sarah Pinsker. I tried to start reading that one, but it felt like a lot of the illusion stories I have read from her before, so chances are it's probably going to be on a short list because Sarah Pinsker is a darling. But I think I didn't feel the need to read it to put on my own ballot. Like, if other people really are like, this is ballot worthy, I'll read it. But chances are it's just going to be, like, on a list because she's a darling. Let's move on down. I haven't read this Tia Tashiro, but I've read other Tia Tashiro. So there's one here called The Temporary Murder of Thomas Monroe. I'm in the middle of reading Mind Trips, which is by the author who did a horror story that I read, and I can't remember its name right now. But I really like their short fiction. I read one of them in Africa Risen, which was an anthology I read a few years ago. So I'm in the middle of that. So yeah, my big one. Next, wait, where's the Catherine M. Valente? I feel like there had to have been the Catherine M. Valente. Am I missing it? Did I lose my brain? Because it's when he, yeah, there it is. When He Calls Your Name by Catherine M. Valente. Also a very good one. I was about to say, if that's not on the list, I'm losing my mind. That one's very fun. It's Appalachia horror, kind of subversive vampire story, but also just has a beautiful voice to it. I really enjoyed that one. I like Never Eaten Vegetables more, but When He Calls Your Name, also very good. That one's by Uncanny. Like, that's who published that one. Okay, short stories. Like I said, I've read some of these. Not all of them, obviously. Cautiously curious about Tobias S. Buckle, but I don't have access to Asimov, so that's like one I'd have to pay for. And that just gets trickier. In My Country by Thomas Ha. This is what like put it on the radar. That, and they had a short story or a novelette last year where I'm just like, I need to read this guy's collection. I need to. In My Country is actually a really fascinating look at like a passive participant in society dealing with fascist government and how their kids are fighting back and how he responds or doesn't respond. And very, very good. Very thematically loud, but very good. I read The Piano Player Has 8 Arms. I didn't really love it, but it was short. Didn't overstay its welcome. And let's see. What's another one that I've read? Oh, I should read some of the Isabel J. Kim because I really like a lot of her previous works, but I haven't read any of the ones that are on this list. Oh, I was so happy. Other Wars Elsewhere is in We Will Rise Again. And it's the first story, and it's so good. This is the one about dealing with never-ending cycles of war and how you are trying to focus on one war and then you lose resources because there's another war, and how you need to reknit yourself and each other to find the energy to keep going. It's very messy, very well-grounded, inspired by a lot of what's happening in Ukraine specifically. Exceptional. And like, let's keep moving down. Is there another one that I've read that I would like to chat about? I'm like looking at the authors and hoping I don't like forget anything. Missing Helen, that was the Tia Tashiro that I've read that I really liked. It's a fascinating world building about clones, and it's using clones to be like, okay, you are two people with the same genetics, but you led different lives. How does that interfere with your relationship with this one person? Like, if you don't have the emotional baggage, can this relationship still work? And it's really about relationships and how they rise and fall, especially if you don't honestly communicate with each other. I really liked it. And then what are some other ones? I think those are the main ones. And yeah, that's the Locus reading list. And my thoughts on what I have read. Like I said, there's still a few more novelettes and short stories I'd like to get to, especially in the collection space with Rebecca Campbell and Thomas Ha. I have a few more sci-fi works I want to get to and a few more fantasy. But I'm feeling good about like what I'm going to be nominating. And then I'm excited to see what hidden gems that I still haven't gotten to when we get the short list for Ursula K. Le Guin and for the Nebula and for the Hugo. Like, I'm excited for all of that. I do feel like 2025 was a stronger year for books that I think are award worthy than previous years. And obviously that's a very subjective taste. I just find that I want award books to either be like exceptional, like the best of their type of thing, or pushing boundaries, or even better, both. And I just feel like previous years we've had a lot of great books, but not exceptional. And the ones that did push boundaries weren't on the lists. You know, that's how I felt previous years. And this year I have hope. I have unreasonable hope. Let me know what you think of this list. I'll have it linked down below. And like I said, you can vote in it. You can vote in it until April 1st. So have at it. Make your voice be heard because it matters. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, I feel like all the awards have spaceships, and that is just too basic. So this time, let us leave a sun, because I want to read Sunward. That's the one I'm probably getting to next. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.